A loud scream was suddenly heard while Saito's group is fighting a Hydra. The scream was from Raelza, then Morlock explained that is because she can't fight slimy monsters. Due to this, Saitou had to take the lead in the battle. He charged at the Hydra while Morlock and Loffa supported him from the distance, and they managed to kill the Hydra after Saitou slashed at its neck non-stop. Morlock paid Loffa for her support during the battle, while Saitou started butchering the Hydra. Raelza looks terrified after hearing it, while the surprised Loffa and Morlock explained that he had tried eating it long ago, and it tasted awful. However, Saitou seems confident that it would be delicious. Afterwards, Saitou visited Mivina's shop to buy some needles for assassination. She confirmed that she's selling it. However, she thought Saitou will be using it to kill Raelza, and even when Saitou denied that he's going to kill someone, she still offered to sell him some poison as well. Saitou is totally confused because of this. Then Saitou started preparing the Hydra. He also explained the process to his party, but they are confused as some of the terms are from Saitou's previous world. After preparing the meat, Saitou used the assassination needles to skewer the meat before grilling it. Loffa is amazed that Saitou is also skilled at cooking, but she got confused when he answered that he also has a chef's license, so he's qualified to cook. At the same time, Saitou finished grilling the Hydra, and he didn't forget to sprinkle some salt on it before serving it to Morlock and Loffa. They screamed in joy after taking the first bite, and Loffa encouraged Raelza to give it a try because of how delicious it is. She refused at first, but Loffa emphasized that Saitou prepared the food. After hearing this, she finally decided to give it a try. Raelza was surprised with how delicious it is, while Morlock suggested that Saitou should open a restaurant, but he gave up on the idea after thinking that Hydra would go extinct if it became a regular food. After exploring multiple dungeons, Saitou is already familiar with different types of traps on treasure chests, such as poison needles, poison smoke, and even bombs. And after falling to a trap previously, he could now tell if it's worth trying to open a chest or not. However, there are still times when he would make mistake, and this time a slime that only melts metal is the trap waiting for them. Although only Raelza, whose armor was completely melted, suffered from this trap. Loffa was amazed with how big Raelza's chest is, and Saitou agreed without hesitation. Raelza could just turn around in embarrassment after noticing Saitou's stare. Afterwards, another unusual pair of adventurers was shown. One of the adventurers was a female elf, but oddly she's not compatible with magic, so she had to rely on her physical strength and melee combat abilities, and weirdly she loved the feeling of receiving healing magic from her ally. However, what's even more unusual is the priest who's letting her partner receive wounds on purpose, because she thinks that the person who receives her healing is becoming her property slowly, and she also lied in order to use her healing skill through intimate physical contact. Meanwhile, in some other kingdom, the palace is looking for heroes who could deal with the invasion of the Demon King. However, no hero had showed up, so the feeble-looking old king decided to take action himself. But right after he left, a rebellion has broken out. After a moment, the king is back on his throne, and the minister is standing beside him like nothing had happened. The king asked if something happened while he was gone, as the petrified soldiers are still in front of his throne. However, the minister just shrugged off the matter about the rebellion as he asked about the Demon King. The king answered that the Demon King was just average. Then it was revealed that the person playing chess with the king is the Demon King, but he's left with only his head. And the king didn't want to execute him and gave him a new identity instead, as he thought that they get along really well. The scene then changed, showing Saitou's party while they are taking a break for the night. Like usual, Loffa is asking for payment in exchange for healing Morlock's back, and Saitou paid for it as Morlock has ran out of gold coins. Saitou couldn't understand Loffa's unusual greed, so he asked Raelza about it. After hearing this, Raelza asked Saitou to follow her somewhere. She showed Saitou Loffa, who was looking up the moon with a gold coin floating above her. Raelza explained that the moonlight fairies like Lafanpan are cursed by the goddess of the moon. During full moons they had to give the goddess offerings of gold coins, and every time they failed to do so their bodies get smaller. She also explained that Loffa used to be much bigger and she could shrink to the size of a grain of sand if she chooses not to offer gold coins for the next 5 years. Because of this, Saitou wanted to give Loffa his share of the treasures that they will obtain. But Loffa hates receiving anything for free, so he could only feel helpless about her situation. Although he couldn't give Loffa his share of treasures, Saitou decided to ask for Loffa's service more often instead, and Raelza noticed this. However, even with enough preparation, Saitou and Raelza still fell to a treasures trap which teleported them somewhere. Raelza concluded that they have been teleported to the lower floor of the labyrinth, and they can't leave the place easily because both of them can't use magic. Saitou thought that he's being a burden to Raelza because he couldn't use magic. Raelza wanted to clear up the misunderstanding, but they had to focus on escaping the place. Saitou still felt troubled, thinking that reminding Morlock his incantations isn't helpful enough, as Raelza had to tank everything alone for them. At the same time, Raelza stopped him from moving because a gigantic iron golem appeared in front of them. Raelza ordered Saitou to stay behind him, although she's determined to fight the golem. But it's because she's planning to buy time for Saitou's escape. She's not confident that she could defeat a magic creature that is made by a high-rank mage. Raelza was looking for the golem's weakness while she was warning Saitou, and she attacked the golem's lower limb, which causes it to lose its balance. However, her next attack couldn't go through its armor, so the golem managed to counter-attack, sending Raelza flying back. Raelza's condition wasn't good after this, so she ordered Saitou to escape. She continued fighting the golem, but it easily blocked all of her next attacks while pushing Raelza back with his own attacks. Seeing the dire situation, Saitou sneaked behind the golem and climbed at its back before pouring the slime that could melt metals inside its armor. But before Raelza could finish off the golem, it managed to grab and crush Saitou. Raelza cried and panicked while seeing Saitou's critical condition. Saitou looked back to how he was in his previous world. Since he was a kid, he's already good at a lot of things, but he can never be the best at anything. He became a handyman because of this, but since there's always someone better than him at a specific thing, he was easily replaceable, and that is why it made him happy when everyone in this world needed him. Raelza felt despair seeing Saitou's condition worsen. The more time passes after death, the lower the success rate of revival magic. But unlike Loffa or Morlock, she can't use any magic to preserve Saitou's body. However, she remembered the drops of life that Morlock has given her. It is an extremely rare potion that could be used with Angel Wings scale to heal her existing scar, and she's keeping it until she could find the other necessary item. However, she didn't hesitate to use it for Saitou. She opened the bottle and let Saitou drink it through her mouth. Saitou regained his consciousness after a while. They've already regrouped with Morlock and Loffa. Saitou asked Loffa if he survived because of her healing, so Loffa explained that Raelza used an incredibly rare medicine to save him. After hearing this, Saitou apologized to Raelza for being a burden again. However, when Loffa opened Raelza's helmet, she just looked dazed while blushing, and Loffa continued teasing her about the method she used to give Saitou the medicine. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and look forward to the next part.